this is Chef B from the Barking Frog. We really miss cooking for you out at the Willow's Lodge, but we're going to do some recipes from our kitchen to yours. And today I have my sous chef, my son Lucas Moore. We're going to take you through a really cool focaccia recipe that is easy to make. It's very delicious. It is from my pastry chef from the Barking Frog, Chef Matt Kelley, and we're gonna do him some justice here today. So, Lucas, why don't you go ahead and take him through the first steps?
All right. So today I'm making focaccia, and we're gonna start out with the starter for the focaccia. And so you're gonna want to have 11 ounces of sifted flour. So we have that in the sifter here. 10 3/4 ounces of body temperature water, and then a tablespoon and a teaspoon of yeast. So what you want to do is dump the yeast into the water and then give that a good stir.
I
incorporate those.
Spoon.
Yeah. We're going to sift this in the nice glass bowl here.
Fastest sifter in the West.
Bet. Go. Give this, dump it in there. Get that little bit of yeast hanging out in the bottom. Make sure you get that in there as well. Got some gloves for you. Thank you very much. We're going to mix this by hand, so do not forget your gloves, otherwise it's quite a bit of a mess.
Got it.
What?
Maybe you just need one.
No, I gotta have two. Okay. So, give us a good hand mix. Just kind of really get it together until nice and hydrated and combined. No loose flour, but also no runny parts. All right. That's looking pretty good. So, as you can see there,
Get as much off your gloves as possible.
really wring it out.
Gonna cover it.
Yeah, and then cover it, and then let it sit on top of your oven for 30 minutes.
Like so. Now, Lucas, here's the starter, and now Lucas is going to show you how to make the dough.
Okay, so for the dough, we're going to need 8 ounces of water, 1 pound and 6 ounces of flour, 1.5 ounces of salt, 5.5 ounces of white wine, 5.5 ounces of olive oil, and then we're also going to be adding cheese and rosemary. So what you're going to add is
The water.
water,
I'll add the olive oil. Something satisfying about that.
Oh yeah.
And then we have some white wine, some Mark Ryan Chardonnay. I think that was it. Is that what it was? I think so. Okay. White wine.
Toss in that salt.
Oh, and you're going to do the flour. I'm going to do some cheese in there too, right?
Yes.
Actually, you can do the cheese. I'll cut up the rosemary. Just going to take the rosemary right off of the little twig there. And this recipe calls for 3. You can add more if you want. And I have 3 more that I'm going to set over the side that I'm going to use for the roasted tomatoes, the oven roasted tomatoes that we're going to put on top of the focaccia bread. Smells so good. Okay, you're shaving some cheese in there. About how much cheese are you putting in there?
Right, anywhere between half a cup and a cup. You want a lot.
Look out, cheesy bread.
All right, now let's mix this by hand. Really get in there. Make sure everything gets incorporated nicely. Just make sure you don't overwork the dough. That'll make for a stiff bread.
That smells really good.
Oh yeah, it does. Oh, yeah, it's moving around a lot. The sides down.
So after this is all mixed up, then what do we do?
We're going to want to cover and then set aside for 30 minutes to just kind of let it get that final rise.
Okay.
That's looking pretty nice and incorporated, so scrape off the gloves again. Up.
Okay, I'll cover it up.
Yep.
Can I just put a towel over it?
Towel saran wrap, those are very nice.
How about a really cool Italian towel? So I'll put that right there. We're going to set that somewhere warm. Move it so we don't catch it on fire. And then now we're going to roll right into the roasted tomatoes and the caramelized onions. So I'm going to cut up some of the rest of the rosemary. And this is going to be tossed with the tomatoes that we're going to roast at 275 degrees for 2 hours. And then those tomatoes are going to be nice and roasted. Okay, so we'll just put that over to the side. Okay, here is our tomatoes. We have our cherry tomatoes. We have some mixed regular red cherry tomatoes, and then we have some heirloom cherry tomatoes. And we just want to put about, let's say, 1/4 cup of olive oil. And that's about 2 pints there. And we just want to coat them nicely. And then we're going to take that rosemary, throw that rosemary in there. And we're going to hit it with some salt and pepper. And some salt. You know what I love to add is a little red chili flake. Okay, there we go. And a little sheet pan here. Let's just toss those. How's that look?
Great.
Yummy. Okay, right onto our 1/4 sheet pan. Right into the oven for 2 hours. 275. Okay. And now we've got 2 onions. We're going to caramelize some onions. I'm just going to cut the ends off here, the onions. And 2 onions, you're thinking 2 onions, that seems like a lot of onion for this. But after you cook the onions down, it's a perfect amount. So just kind of slide that over there. Sometimes you can use the knife to get that off. Peel that outer skin layer there off. Do the other one. And then I would say about 1/4 inch cut. Not too thick, but thin enough where it'll caramelize nicely. And then we have a pan behind me heating up. It's on a medium-high heat. That last one right there. Slide right into there, and then we're going to caramelize them. And it'll probably take a good 20 minutes to do that. And then we're going to coat it with a little bit more oil. You can use olive oil for this, or you can use some grapeseed oil or canola oil. And just put it on a medium-high to high heat, and then just kind of stir it with a wooden spoon as you go. And we're going to have some beautiful caramelized onions that are going to end up looking like this right there. Okay, so now we're going to clean up a bit. We're going to let the focaccia proof a little. We're going to show you how we oil up our pan, put the focaccia in there, and then we're going to top it off with some caramelized onions and some roasted cherry tomatoes. See you in a second.
Okay, so our dough has had 30 minutes to rise. Take a little look. Oh yeah, it's looking great. It's got way bigger, very full of air. So, what are you doing over there?
I'm pouring olive oil on the bottom of this pan so that when you add the dough here, it won't stick. And I'm going to bring this up on to the sides, rub it on the sides there. Seems like a lot of olive oil, but it's not. All right.
All right, so I'll just scoop this in. Make sure you get all the dough in the whole pan bowl. Turn it out into the pan, and then just make sure you spread it out evenly. So no areas are bigger than others. Get it into the corners. Get it against the edges.
And then poke like kind of holes with your fingers like that. Oh yeah, that looks great. It smells so good. Okay, so now I'm going to add cherry tomatoes that we roasted. And I'm going to kind of press them in a little. And then some of the onions that we caramelized. And if you don't use it all, throw some in the refrigerator and use them on another dish that you do in another day or two. All right, what do you think?
That's looking so good.
Okay, all right. So now we're gonna put this into the oven. What's the temperature?
325.
350.
That's close.
350 for 15 minutes, and then we're gonna pull it out, flip it onto that. Ooh, that's heavy. All right, there we go. Okay, we'll see you in a minute when it's finished. Buongiorno, welcome back to the Moore House. We're about to pull the focaccia out of the oven, and it smells really good in this house. Okay, here we go. See that? Ooh. Okay, so one of the differences between doing this at home as opposed to at work is this pan's pretty heavy, so we're gonna have to flip this. Let me just make sure it's not gonna stick. Sometimes it will stick, so that's why sometimes when I do the sides, so it won't stick. When we're gonna completely flip this. You just want to make sure it's not gonna stick like in the middle under there. And this still needs to cook longer. And I gotta tell you that we've adjusted the cook time because this one's a little thick. So we'll give you the correct recipe to set you up for success. So if you do this at home, be careful. But if this pan that we did bake this in is a little heavy. If you have anything that's a little lighter, it would be probably less dangerous. But I'm gonna flip it. You ready? 1, 2, 3. And remember, there's a lot of olive oil in there. So when you flip it, make sure olive oil, no olive oil went anywhere, so I think we're good. So this is where you kind of hit on it a little bit and hope that it didn't stick to the bottom too bad. It probably did a little bit, but let's see. Oh my gosh, no. This is great. All right.
Look at that.
No stick. That's because we got under there with the spatula. And so now we're gonna take this and bake this in the oven for another 5 to 10 minutes. And then we'll flip it back onto another sheet tray and then let it rest for, probably half an hour before you eat it. And it'll be delicious. But we will lose some of the onions and some of the tomatoes, but we'll put them right back on. So we're going right back into that oven, 350 degrees for another 5 to 10 minutes. See you in a minute. It smells of rosemary, roasted tomatoes, caramelized onions, and fresh baked focaccia in the Moore House right now. And I'm ready to see if it's all done. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay, it's nice and hot, so be careful. I can already see it's got a nice golden brown around the edges, so I think that's going to be perfect. We might need to go back in for just another couple minutes, but let's see. Now we're going to put that sheet pan right over the top. Flip it. 1, 2, 3. Nice and careful. Let's see what we have here. Woo! That is gorgeous. Look at that. Nice and golden brown around the edges. I would say we're going to go back into the oven for maybe another 5 to 10 minutes. I think 5 minutes, and then we let it rest for about a half an hour. Chop up some beautiful fresh basil from the garden, and sprinkle that right over the top, or maybe a little bit of arugula, and slice it up and serve it with your favorite Italian meal. Enjoy.